So, call to order. So, first thing on our list is to recognize anybody from the public that's here. So, if you could state your name, he's our secretary, and let us know why you're here.
Okay, and I don't know you.
I'm Charlie Check.
Charlie Check. Nice to meet you. And you're Glenn
I'm Glenn Mimic.
Mimic.
Valerie Bell.
Valerie and Jacqueline.
And
yes.
who are you?
My name is Deborah Ennis. Deborah.
ENIS?
ENNIS. And I
what
am
did you
involved
say?
with the Harwich Climate Action Network.
Well, you ought to join our committee.
So I'm here to address a few things.
Okay.
And it was the first time I looked at the website for the town of Harwich, and I've just spent some time this week looking at the agendas from the previous meetings to kind of get an idea of what you've been doing. And I have a question about, I didn't see the minutes afterwards. I saw the agendas.
Well, I've been having a problem with the minutes, and I send the minutes to what I think is where I'm supposed to send it to, and they changed the website recently. And so where I sent the minutes, and I noticed that some of the minutes aren't on there, and I just tried to send another minutes just before this, and I don't know what's happening to them. I talked to the town clerk and asked her, what is the proper address? Because when you send the agenda,
Right.
you use agenda, and I
Right.
use the word minutes. She specifically told me, and I don't know whether my formatting is wrong with a date or something, but I got one in there for a couple months ago, but I can't get the rest of them in there. But I keep sending them to them, but I don't know why.
Right.
Keep working on it. We do have
Because
them.
I would love to be
Yeah,
able to see
yeah.
what you decided about things. And even the one that says minutes on the website, it's the agenda. It's not the minutes.
Well, I just looked at one, it was like 6:17, and it was the minutes.
It was. Okay, I'll have to relook.
It
Okay.
shows a bunch of pictures that I took of, remember that guy
Oh.
had
Yep.
yeah, and.
Okay, I did see that. Okay, so that was the minutes. Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
I
But
know it's
frustrating.
It's been, I don't know why that, if I send 3 or 4 at once, they only put one on or something like that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're looking into it, and I'm glad you're aware of it, so.
Well, I know.
That was
and
just one item I
But
wanted
plus,
to
there's a
bring up.
month that we didn't have a meeting.
Right, no, I could see that,
Okay.
but the meetings that you did have, I was hoping there would be minutes
And
from them.
there are.
Okay,
If you give me your email, I could email them to you if you want me to.
sure. So it's Deb Ennis, DEBENNIS 50@gmail.com. Because I was specifically interested to know more from,
DEBENNIS 50@gmail.com.
you got it.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
Charlie.
send you the
Great.
last 6 months of them that I have.
Of minutes.
I've been
Perfect.
trying to
That
get them
would be
on there,
great.
and
Okay,
I
so
feel
then-
frustrated that I can't get them on there.
I
I'm not stupid.
understand. I understand. Yeah, you're trying, and it's not working. I'm
And
sorry.
if they've been changing the website and stuff, it's,
Yeah,
But the website is all different now.
it's beyond you. Yeah, so keep at
And
it.
when they change the website, they should notify anybody that's doing minutes. This is the way we want you to send I sent a message to the IT department. Nobody called me back from it. I said, what is the correct format? Do I
Right,
put the date
okay.
in the thing? Do I put the
Right,
word
right.
minutes? I mean, do I have to have it in a certain way so you
I don't
receive
think
it?
any of that's true. I don't know, I think it's just getting to the right mailbox. And when I first started posting agendas, I accidentally put agenda with an S, and that's not right. It's agenda, no S. And so I had sent like 2 agendas to this non-existent mailbox before they told me
Yeah.
we're not getting your agendas, and I found it was just a simple S.
Well,
We're all
and that's what I'm sure there is some formatting
pathetic.
issue that I'm
Yeah.
not aware of because nobody's told me about it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, when there's an address and it's a certain way,
Oh,
You
it has to be
can't-
perfect.
Yeah.
right,
Well, keep
it's an
working on it,
email,
Charlie.
an email address.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right, so we'll work on agendas.
In your March agenda, you had something about on the agenda, our charge from the town.
Yes.
And I would be interested to know what that is.
Yeah,
So
so-
Charlie will send me the minutes
Yeah.
and that will,
So the charge is like what the Board of Selectmen
Right.
think that the
Yeah.
committee should be doing.
right,
We had ours updated, I think about 2 years ago.
You need
Yeah.
this overview?
yeah, it'd be, if there's a,
These are our responsibilities.
Yeah, let her see that, yeah.
if there's a copy of it, I'd love to know overview. Okay,
my
maybe I
pen
can
just
get a
went bad.
copy of that, Jacqueline.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be on the,
That's online, accessible to
Oh, the
everybody.
That's
overview,
online, yeah.
uh-huh,
Correct.
okay, oh,
so
okay,
every committee has one, you know.
Right.
And that's what the,
My
In-
pen just went dead. Do
okay,
you
I'll
have
just
a-
keep that in front of me
Yeah.
while I talk, Energy Council.
Do you have an
Yeah,
extra
so-
pen?
This one?
Okay,
have it.
thank you.
Okay, so basically what I'm here to try to get more information about is the process that happened, and I did write to Joe about it, and I have a little bit of information from an email he sent me, that led Harwich to say no thank you to the CLC when they were offering towns.
it wasn't this committee.
I know, so I want to find out, did
It was Joe.
did anyone consult with this
No.
committee?
No.
That's
And we-
confounding.
And we weren't notified of anything, at least.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
I never knew
to
about
me.
it.
Finish your thought, I don't know
Okay.
what you,
So,
Why don't you
See-
read this out loud?
CLC.
okay, I will. So CLC, so I don't know if you're aware of it, but the towns of Brewster and Orleans and Chatham said yes.
Yes.
And they're collaborating with the CLC for funding and training and setup
Yep.
for a
Yeah, I'm
town
the rep from Harwich to
energy.
CLC. so-
Okay, for the town energy coordinator position.
Yes,
And
we're-
so
we're-
each of
we know
those
all of that,
towns.
yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
you know about
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
And they're each hiring a person, the same person for 1 day a week, and that person will be split up between those.
Right.
So when I heard about that from Maggie, I asked her, did Harwich have an opportunity to participate in that? And she said, yes, Harwich was offered the option and they declined. And so if you all know about it, I'm surprised that you stood by and let Joe decline when it seems to me that it would be valuable. So I wrote to him to say,
Right.
why did you decline?
Right.
And what he wrote back is that this position is known formally as municipal coordinator and is shared between the towns of Brewster, Chatham, and Orleans, as well as with the Cape Light Compact, and that Eastham opted not to move forward. Maggie Downey is copied here, presented to a Cape and Islands managers and administrators.
Which we were not
I
in.
understand that. Meeting last summer, that's 2023, to see if any other communities were in need of a dedicated resource in the form of a municipal coordinator. Since there was no present need for such services, given the ongoing activities and actions of the Town of Harwich's Energy and Climate Action Committee, nor was there any funding source available, which isn't true because part of the CLC's thing
Only
is some
part.
funding.
Each town
Right.
had to go to town
Right,
meeting and
but
get
it-
money. Yeah.
Right, but it wasn't even pursued. The town of Harwich did not participate in this shared resource position. Harwich, okay, feel free to reach out to me directly on this or any other energy-related topic.
I
So-
can share this with you.
So the bottom line to that program, that ship sailed.
I know,
Yeah, so,
but what I'm curious about is that it happened without any consultation with this committee.
they don't
No,
consult us on anything. I mean,
no.
These are a bunch of
Okay.
articles that
I
appear
know.
in the
I've-
Chronicle,
I've-
all about
I
EV
clipped-
vehicles and about town select
And
board
this
doing
one,
climate action
I
things.
had clipped that as
We
well,
don't,
Charlie.
we don't do anything here, basically.
Okay, so his saying that the ongoing activities and actions of the town of Harwich's Energy and Climate Action Committee is not much substance to that.
what you gotta understand about a municipal committee, like this one, is that we're non-funded,
Right,
and we are advisory only.
Right,
And we have been doing the very best we can
okay,
to advise the town on things that they should be pursuing.
right.
We have no authority to
Right.
pursue on our own.
And so have they asked you for advice about
They don't
pursuing?
ask us for anything.
We,
go to
he's
them.
been
Have
going
you
to them,
given
he's been
them-
going to them almost
you
every week to
shared
talk about
the-
EV charging
So does
stations.
this committee want, do you feel in support of of someone being a municipal
Yes.
coordinator? And have you made that known to the select board?
No,
No.
Well, I don't think we've specifically
no.
said, I mean,
Okay.
I
You know,
think
they-
I have,
They had a golf committee here, and the people were making a ruckus.
Yeah,
So what the town of Harwich did with the golf committee is they disbanded
I
them
know.
and got rid of all the women
Right,
on it
right.
because they didn't want
Okay.
women participating or
So,
something. And
I
I don't
understand,
know if that was it or not.
I
but,
understand. So what I want to say.
so you want us to raise a ruckus, we'll all be disbanded.
Right, that's why I don't want to be on the committee.
Right.
But
because
so
you can do
I
more
am
than
going
we
to
can.
raise a ruckus, not a ruckus,
Right.
I'm going to do some public education. So I've gotten, there's a position like this in Falmouth and Barnstable that have been going on for the
Yes.
last year and a half,
Yep.
2 years.
Barnstable has a full-time person
And-
that is championing their EV charging stations there.
He's been in touch with them.
And
Right.
he's a young fellow, he
Yeah,
seems to be
I've
very
been in touch with
ambitious.
him also.
He seems to be very happy to share information with us on
yep.
what he's been doing, how he's been doing it, who
Yep.
he's been using.
Right.
So I like it.
Yep.
And yes, Barnstable, I think, did the right thing by hiring that person. Some
Right.
towns might call it a sustainability manager. I
Right.
don't care what the name of the position
Right.
is, but whether or not it's to champion those kind of issues.
Here's the March meeting.
Okay, thank
Or,
you.
or whether or not it's to be able.
Sean, right, Sean
There's the
Hogan.
paragraph right
Yes.
there, okay?
Yeah,
What was the last name again?
Sean Hogan.
Sean
Hogan.
And in Falmouth, there's someone named Stephanie Madsen.
Yeah.
And both those towns, and this is the other thing I didn't have the ability to print, and I sent you at the last minute, and I understand, was the job description for the sustainability coordinator, which is on the Falmouth website. I haven't tracked down the Barnstable one, which is very extensive, and it shows that if you compare the job description of what the sustainability coordinator with Joe saying no present need for such services, you can see how there is a need. So my goal as a private citizen is to rally some support by educating people in town why we need this position to be created and funded. And there's creative ways that the other three towns are funding, like through some, I don't know exactly, but Brewster said through their energy EV thing, they're making some money and that's gonna go towards this position. I don't know.
Every town has to do
I
what
have
they
to
have
look
to do.
Would
into
you
it.
share those job descriptions with us?
It's on,
please?
yeah, I sent you one already because that was
really?
what I asked you to print. It's on their
Oh, this is not
website.
what you asked?
That was the first thing and then there was a second thing.
Ah, I didn't
So
see the
it's fine.
second.
I know, it
Yeah,
was
I
too
was
late.
moving.
Just
I knew
forward it
you'd,
to everybody.
I knew you'd be early. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fine.
It was a miracle that I was on my computer because I check it only in the morning.
It is a miracle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, because his letter is very clear. So I just wanted this committee to know, and I wanted to
But we
find out
definitely
if
would
Joe,
support you.
if Joe had consulted with you, which
Yeah.
I assumed he hadn't. And,
Glenn has been consulting with him all the time on EV charging stations.
Yeah.
We're trying to get them to at least come up with a plan for a couple of stations. Other towns have them all over the place, and we can't get them to move anywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Well, wouldn't say all over the place.
We're not taking
Barnstable
seriously.
has got the most
yeah.
of them.
That's a shame. That's a shame. I understand your limitations and how your hands are tied.
Well, the problem is like anywhere else, money has power, and we have none, you have no power.
Yeah,
So, I mean, what we could do, and like Val said, this issue is passed as far as being able to
Right.
get funding. But with that being said, reaching out, not to Joe, but going to the select committee and making a request for something like that formally with support of town members would probably be of value. And I think what Val said, that all four of us in this room
yeah.
would support that
Good.
issue and
Well,
maybe others 100%.
My goal is to put together a package with information and just descriptions of what these other energy municipal coordinators are doing, and then to present it to some different committees in Harwich,
Right.
like the conservation and the water and whatever all, DPW, so that they can be aware of this, and I could generate hopefully some support. And then go to a BOS meeting and present it, because then it will be public record, and, you know, to do what I can to
Right.
get the word out.
What I would recommend,
And eventually, that it would get on a town, I'm sorry,
No,
Glenn,
it's okay.
just, that eventually it would be voted on at a town meeting.
what I would recommend when you do that,
Yeah.
don't lose sight of the value, and when I say value, the savings that the town would get with a
Right.
position like that. So when
Right.
you look at,
Right,
okay, because I've been championing the EV, or we
Yeah.
have been championing the EV stations in
Yeah.
town, there's lots of money out there. So when you look at Joe Powers and where he's gonna come from, I don't think Joe really gives two hoots about
right,
EV charging stations.
Right.
He'll listen to our recommendations, but he'll also say they're only recommendations.
yeah,
But at the same time, that whether or not it's to the select committee or even to Joe, if you could assign a dollar value to the savings, so let's say, through the sake of argument, that putting in, 10 charging stations, having a full-time person like Barnstable has, saved the town of Barnstable X number of dollars
Right.
because they had a full-time person reaching out for state funds and other, and Eversource.
Who was a town employee and had the authority to enter into like grants and things like that, you know,
Exactly.
that's the,
Yeah.
what trips us up is we have no,
yeah,
And Val mentioned this, in earlier meetings about the grants, and that, the town of Harwich doesn't have that person, that expert, that knows how to go about getting these grants.
And we don't have any budget either,
I
so.
understand.
So I believe what it is
So
is
there's a
we keep-
need for this.
There's a need,
absolutely.
Yes.
and I don't know
And
how
that-
Joe
To
does it.
emphasize the benefit of, they save, because Stephanie in Falmouth, who's been a similar position with Hui for 13 years, she told me her strategy, like, she's not going for pie in the sky. She's, the first year or two, she's gonna establish how she's raised more money than what her salary is.
Perfect.
And that she understands that's the bottom line of how it's gonna be evaluated.
Absolutely.
Did it cost more to hire this coordinator than they generated? And so that's her
That's the
first
story.
goal.
That's a good story.
The town, I think, is very frugal, or they don't want to spend money on almost anything. So anything that comes up and it costs money, they don't want to talk about it for some reason or other. They don't want to raise the taxes anymore. I guess they think the Harwich taxes are too high or something, and they're afraid to, get voted down or something.
Well, I think a lot of times what happens is, and I think this is what Glenn is trying to get at, and where it would behoove us to like maybe even talk to Barnstable, get a little more detail, because it takes money to make money. They always say that. And when Barnstable hired this kid, he was able to work on putting together enough charging stations so that he basically is almost getting there for nothing. I mean, because he was able to work on it, paid to do it.
Exactly, and I
you
get
know,
it, because as a volunteer with
Yeah,
her,
it's
this
just
is
so
what
much-
made me think about the importance of this position.
Right, right.
That as a member of HCAN, Harwich Climate and Action
Yeah.
Network, I work full-time, I'm a self-employed person.
Right,
I
you-
don't have the time or
exactly.
resources to put into all these things that are possible. And I said, what we can best do is get a
Yeah.
sustainability coordinator. Okay,
And I think it'd be,
Good.
I think you're gonna get support, from other people.
yeah,
Because the Inflation Reduction Act has so much
right,
money.
exactly.
But you have to be able to access it through like grants and things like that.
Right, and you have to be
We don't
persistent.
necessarily know where that stuff is,
Right,
nor
right.
do we have the authority
Right,
to enter into it.
right, yep.
And we've tried to tell Joe, about looking for things like that.
But he's not motivated.
But he's not gonna
And
do it.
other towns around the Commonwealth have these
Yes.
sustainable
They do.
coordinator positions. And there's lots of information about how successful they've been.
Yeah.
It's,
No, it's a
Well,
great idea.
To illustrate our relationship with Joe Powers, Valerie invited him to attend one of our meetings.
Uh-huh.
He didn't show up.
Well, I see
And he didn't
that
say boo.
on the agenda for today is the fact that the liaison with the board.
We've never seen him either.
He doesn't come either.
Yeah.
So this committee is not given any kind of serious.
Yeah.
So what keeps you all going? That's a big question. You probably
We're
don't.
self-motivated.
You don't want, but I.
We just
but
talk
what
to
keep-
ourselves and we
What gives
keep
you a
keeping-
sense of accomplishment?
Well, we do, the one thing that we have been able to do over the years is a public outreach, you know,
Yeah.
and we have provided workshops and, you know, meetings
Right.
and things like that.
Right,
where
I
people-
went to
Yeah.
a series that you did,
Yeah,
that was
and
really
able
good.
to help people, you know.
I'll get this off the website,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you, Jacqueline, and
You
you
know,
gave me that, Charlie, thank
Yeah,
you.
that was about
I
that.
see that, a discussion, and that was in March.
That
Yeah.
was, you were asking me
But
specifically.
it was already after the fact.
Right,
Harwich wasn't included in
Right.
that.
But I mean, we did address it in the
Right,
minutes
I'm
too.
not faulting the committee on addressing it, I'm saying,
no,
did
no, we
Joe
understand,
consult
yeah.
with you to make his decision
No,
that he
'cause
gave to the
I heard about it
CLC?
I heard about it through Cape Light Compact, sort of after the fact.
Right.
Maggie didn't think to ask me
Right.
because she had spoken to the head of the town,
Right.
you know? And if the head of
Right.
the town didn't think it was important, then
Right.
why would she talk to me, you know? And
It's a shame.
So,
It's a
but
shame.
we, you know, and I've always felt that whatever happens here in Harwich, it has to be from the citizens, you know,
Mhm,
and
yeah.
that just one committee by the, just the four of us are not gonna move the needle. The town, the select board has to see, they're politicians, right? And they go
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
interest
Yeah.
is.
And I just wanted to make sure I didn't cut you off, because you were saying an important thing.
Well, one thing that, I'll just give you one last story. We mentioned Sean Hogan, right, from
Yeah.
Worcester. He took the time to give me a lot of information on the scope of work that they're doing and the cost that the town would incur after they got all the grants. And they were getting a lot of money, you know, from the state to be able to do this. I sent all this information to Joe, and Joe, I mean, I used to work for Eversource, so, you know, I kind of know this stuff a little bit to at least be able to converse.
I saw that on your,
On it, but, you know, I gave it all to him, and he made it pretty clear to me that, thank you, you know, information is good, you know, but even when I say, here's all this stuff from Sean, and I'm willing to help you as much as you want, he made it clear that our job is to provide recommendations and that his people would follow up on these things. So,
Which they did.
I mean, which I do have a letter here today that I got from him today,
Yeah.
you know, on a response,
Right,
you know,
right.
for the EV charging stations. But it's also pretty clear that he's asking for me to get the name of somebody, but he's chasing, doing the legwork, when he won't take advantage of letting me make a couple phone calls and
Right.
help him
So,
out a little bit, because I'm not a town employee.
Right.
I'm fine, I mean, he's the
Yeah,
town
I'm s-
manager, and I will, you know,
I'm
provide
sorry
as
for
much or
the
as
way
little.
committees are made to feel ineffective, and there could be so much more. Like, you're a group of concerned citizens who are showing up and doing the work, and I wish you had more reward for that, but,
well, our reward would be if if this group of citizens rose up and, you know, advocated
Yeah.
for this,
Yeah.
you know, with our support for sure.
right,
I'd be happy to go talk to any group that you.
good, good. Okay, well, we'll see what we can
Yeah.
generate. I mean, it's been amazing at the town meetings that there's been pretty much a unanimous yes for things like the climate, like declaration of emergency.
That's
and-
on our agenda today. You know,
2020.
the next thing is an action plan. You know, many of the towns are doing that.
Right.
That's part of our.
And yes, I wanted
Yeah.
to mention that
Yeah.
about your upcoming agenda.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I think Harwich does need a climate energy action plan, just like every other town needs it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you for
coming.
doing the work you're doing, and even though it's not giving you a lot of gratification, at least you exist, and it's a place people like me can come and air some things, and, yeah, thank
And
you.
we know
Whatever
what the
you-
town thinks.
Whatever you come up with, you know, you said you were gonna put stuff together.
Yeah.
By all means, come back next month and
Yes,
Run
you
it
know.
by us and,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
we can help in any way that
Good.
you want us to
good,
help.
okay. I mean, can you get things put on the website, under your
whatever you bring will be in the minutes that the town would post
Right.
on the website.
Right.
So you can make clear exactly what you want.
Ah.
Charlie's the secretary, and he's gonna put
Okay.
down whatever you have to
Okay.
say.
They're trying to get
Excellent.
it on there.
Excellent, okay.
By next month, they'll have it all.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that, Charlie. I get how frustrating that can be. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you all. Bye-bye.
By the way, Charlie, getting back to putting the minutes on, when they say the format, I don't think it's the format of the minutes, it's the format of the document name. So it's a .doc, or it's a minutes, August minutes.
Are you doing
such-
it on Word or?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the format. They're not talking about how you type it up. I don't think, I'm guessing.
Well, I was wondering if it was the way I put the title in there, whether I
It
put.
could be.
I
Something
put-
like that
Whether I
could be.
put a dash in the dates, or I don't put a dash, or I space in the dates, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
all these kind of
Make-
things.
Try to talk to them again and
The only one I could talk to is the town clerk. I tried to call the IT department,
Yeah.
and nobody called me back from the IT department. Tell me, I said, what is, you changed the website, what's the correct format for sending something so the minutes get published, you know what I'm saying?
Step by the office before you leave today. They close at 4? Well,
I don't think that
won't
girl
be
in there
able-
can
Well,
answer my
anyway, so
question.
try, if you don't get any resolution, let me know, and I'll see what I can find out. But we gotta get those minutes up there.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And since you're sending those minutes to a website / person, put that in the actual thing. Don't just say submittal of September minutes. Put down, hey, give me a call, because it's going to a person. I don't
It's
think,
not a person, it's,
Are you getting it kicked back to you saying?
no, but it's not going to a person, it just says minutes, and there was no person's name on it.
I know that, but I think there's a person at the other end who's actually dropping it into the website for the town.
Yes, yes, it's,
But if
yeah.
I could find the name of the person, I could
But if you
call
put
them.
that in your email saying, here's the minutes, they haven't been going in the last couple of months, please contact me if there's a problem, you might get a person to call you back. I'd bet money on that, but
I don't know who the person, if they could just tell me the person's name, I'd call,
I
I'd
know,
call
but-
them.
What's his name?
Danielle, Natasha?
No,
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 it's
no,
not,
no. Anyway, work on it some more.
All right.
You know, reach out to me or Glenn or, you know, if you're not getting, if you're getting the runaround, let us know, you know, and hopefully, we will get that resolved. Like I said, for me, it was just a matter of not putting in, of taking that S out, and everything worked fine after that, so. And it didn't matter like how I formatted it or anything, you know, it was just,
No, I just
It's
sent
like
one,
the address.
I
The
just-
address has to be correct, otherwise it
I
has to
just
be,
sent
right?
one with a copy to you for the, I think it was the May or September one, and you can look at the format I got there and see, it's an email, I sent it to you, Valerie. I sent an email to that website, minutes, and then I sent a copy to you, so you could look at my format and see if there's anything you could see wrong. You
All
okay,
right.
later?
yeah. Like I said, I think it's the address, but whatever. All right, so everybody has the August meeting minutes. Any additions, deletions, corrections?
move to approve.
Second?
Okay, second.
All in favor? Aye. They are approved unanimously, and Charlie, you can do the best you can to get those up on the website.
I do write them, but I did.
And they're
We
great,
know
you
that.
know, they're very
We know
informative,
that.
and anybody who read them would understand what we did. But it's just like poor Deb was looking for them, and, you know, can't find them. All right, so EV charger updates, our perennial topic.
I'll just read you what I've got. I sent something to Joe following, you got the following debates.
Mhm, I did,
And
and I sent them to you.
Yeah, we talked for a while. Joe, can you provide me a status on where we are with the EV charging station? I have a committee meeting on Tuesday. I want to report where we are on this. Also, I received a call from Luther Bates from EVCON a couple of weeks ago, and I told him that you were the one to talk to as our committee provides recommendations while the town actually implements the plan. Thanks. So his reply was, Glenn, I'll be meeting with Public Works to discuss this construction project as well as other road-related matters that the board recently discussed. We need to confirm the availability of funds, which you said earlier in November, right? for all projects prior to initiate design and construction. Thank you for directing Luther to me as well. From what I understand, they haven't talked, Luther and Joe haven't. I forgot how I know that, but I am not aware that he's reached out yet to me or my team. That's from Joe, so he's saying that Luther never called him.
And who is this Luther?
Luther Bates is the fellow who did the original submittal, you know, because the woman who's in charge of the Chamber of Commerce, you know, and she's got a business down in the middle of Harwich Port.
And so
Luther
did
works down
yeah.
there too.
He is the
So
guy married to
he
who
did the
was
original
a gallery
submittal.
art there
Yeah,
in
the 90s.
Ah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I've never
he's-
met him.
He started a business.
Yeah, he's a Harwich Port business owner.
Yeah. And he started a business to install EVs.
Right, remember he came and talked to us?
Yeah.
The whole, their company came and.
Well,
I told,
That's a company.
that's, this whole
Yeah,
article, it
right.
was a whole big, he was doing a presentation right at
when
the,
was this written?
these are all recent, I just sent
2-3
all
weeks
three of these
That's in the
things to you,
Chronicle.
all three of you people.
I didn't get those.
You got it right
No.
in.
Yeah, he sent them at 2 o'clock.
Oh, then I didn't see it, yeah.
Did you look at your text?
Not since this morning.
Well, do you have your phone there? This is he did a course on this right at the Technical Institute there, and I missed it. I was gonna go to it about how you get this EV charging stuff. He wrote a whole article about it.
Yeah, he started a business.
Well,
And I sent you a copy of this too, by
you
the way.
did?
Yes.
Okay.
You should have
Did you
it.
send it to me today?
All right.
Yes, I
Oh,
sent
okay,
it.
okay.
You see the pictures of it?
I got the one about the minutes.
No, but did you see the one before that? With the,
There's nothing before that. I got the minutes. Oh, here it is. An image is like oh, yeah.
they're all, I didn't have everybody else's phone number, so
Yeah,
I
I got
sent
it.
them, everybody else on an email, but all these articles
Yeah,
are
I'm
all...
interested in what he has to say, so I'll read that when I get home.
All the articles on,
Yeah.
on the select boards in other towns and the EV charging stations in Chatham are all been sent to you today, okay?
He's developing a business.
And we had a chance
Thanks
to.
to your contact to him.
No, I didn't, that wasn't, no.
No,
that was-
they were already
that was
in that
Val.
business.
Oh, they were already.
Oh, yeah, they were already in, that's what they did, and they
Oh, I see.
volunteered to come and help us.
Ah, okay.
So,
okay.
so
Yeah.
the problem with what he did was, okay, like in any corporation, you have a process by which you do things.
Mm-hmm.
So he took it upon himself to do a submittal, I believe, a make-ready submittal to Eversource.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell Eversource what you want, and they come out and where you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come out and they'll check out, you know, location, do they need to put in a transformer, where would the transformer go, where would the chargers go? So anyways, I believe that's what Luther Bates did, which, by the way, I did not know this when he did the original submittal, it was for 3 charging stations. I didn't know that, because we've been going for just one, just to
Right.
get
Get
them
it
off the
done.
dime, just get
Yeah.
it done. So anyways, he mentioned that to me when we talked. The problem is that he did it on his own, okay? He wasn't hired through the town. So even where I worked, you know, if I had ever done something like that, I'd be called into the vice president's office and said, Glenn, I like you being, you know, proactive, but, you know, we have a way of doing things, and
He wasn't hired by the town, but Joe Powers knew he was doing it. We met before he ever submitted that.
yeah,
Cindy, me,
and Joe,
Joe,
okay.
Luther met in Joe's office. So it's not like Joe
Okay.
didn't know this.
Didn't know it, okay.
Right. What Joe's problem was, is he didn't feel like he wanted to commit. He
Any money.
greatly appreciated what EvCon did, but he didn't want to just preemptively assume that EvCon was going to be the contractor of choice.
Why?
And now I think he's not going to use EvCon, he's going to use, and I don't know how he's going about picking whoever is.
Right.
You know, but that's why his last question to me today was, Glenn, do you know who the town of Orleans used for their EV charging stations installed at 10 Old Colony Way? I'm seeking installers, and I'm trying to find that information.
Wouldn't he want to know what Barnstable's using? Because,
That would be my response,
yeah,
but
find out what Barnstable's doing.
do you know who, if I, just to
I have no
answer the
idea.
question, you don't have a contact in
No.
Orleans?
Well, I have
This
a
is-
contact for
This is
Orleans.
a whole article about the Orleans Select Board with climate action stuff, so there may be something in that. And I sent you that article too.
Then I'll look through that.
Yeah.
I'll look through that. Thank you, Charlie, that might help. So,
But I can check my
If you have a contact, I'll make the phone calls
Yeah.
and see if I can get that information for
Who
him.
put their, what charging stations, this
He
was?
said it's at 10 Old Colony Way. I didn't look it up on the map to see where that is.
That's like where they have the farmer's market and stuff. If
So
you know
so
where Hot
what do you
Chocolate
want me to
Sparrow
say in the
is.
meeting
What is it?
minutes about
Hot
the
Chocolate
EV
Sparrow?
charging?
Okay.
About the EV charging stations regarding in Harwich? Where are we? We're no progress or what?
Okay, where I think it got derailed was, there were some issues back before the town meeting, right? And there was an issue with funds because something had gone wrong with the town budget. There was some line item that Joe was struggling
They
with.
just talked to the Brooks Academy people.
And
They got screwed big time.
so with that, he didn't put the EV charging stations, even though he told me he would, as a warrant on the town meeting. So because he didn't do that, he doesn't have money for it. But because I've been badgering, he's looking to see whether or not there's funds that would be available in the November, it's not assessment, I forget the actual word that he was talking about for the funding. So the fact that he actually reached out and asked me a question tells me that he's actually, you know, finally taking it seriously and we'll get something done. But I'm assuming that, I don't know that for a fact.
Well, it's.
What would
it's
be
all
the
we can do.
timing?
Well, I would assume that would be next year, but I told you this a year ago too, so I don't want to tell you that. And
Yeah, you know, and I think that if, at this point, to me, the charging stations are almost not the point. The point is to keep pushing the town to understand that they're falling further and further behind in this whole energy thing. You know, it's not the EV charging station. Putting one EV charging station in Schoolhouse parking lot
That
is
illustrates the whole thing.
but it illustrates the process or the dysfunctionality that this particular town has in relationship to energy and energy.
well, with the issues that came out with EV cars over the last year, the people who are naysayers loved a lot of the bad press and they pushed it pretty hard. So you're seeing, I know that Ford has backpedaled big time on the number of EVs that they're going to build. I believe GM is doing the same thing, so.
Well, the problem with, yes, I think part of it, to me, the most important part of what's gonna get the EV cars off the block is, it's not so much that when it gets cold, they don't go as far, or anything like that. It's the upfront cost. And the average American, during this time of inflation and high interest rates, there was no way they were gonna buy an EV car. And used EVs are only just starting to come into the market, would be less expensive than a brand new one. So I think inflation and high interest rates really were the driver on keeping people from switching, not just range anxiety, or they don't work in the cold.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
combination. I do
Yeah.
think you're right though.
Yeah.
You know, when people open up their wallet,
There's nothing there, you know.
now they tried to, I forget if it's the state or if it's the feds, now are giving, it's not a rebate, but a tax credit
Right,
or-
like $7,000, which
for
sounds,
a used
right.
EV.
And it sounds like a lot of money, but when you're paying $30,000 for the vehicle, $7,000, it's nice. But it's not like it's not like getting half, or, you know, you still need a lot of money.
Are there any people transforming their ICE into EVs? They are doing it in Europe very
Transforming
successful.
what into EVs?
Putting
Internal
batteries.
combustion.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Prince William did it with his Jaguar.
yeah.
Excuse me?
Prince William did it with his Jaguar
Ah,
a
yeah.
number of years ago
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of his dad.
Yeah, well, you know, so I think for this committee, we keep on bugging them. I think
Eventually it will happen.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Deborah's able to do with like a citizens group, you know, because obviously the citizens can do what they want. I mean, citizens. And then if we can show up at a Board of Selectmen's meeting as the Energy Committee with like 50 citizens sitting there wanting this particular thing to happen, like an energy coordinator or whatever they call it, municipal coordinator. I think that would have more clout than you or me showing up occasionally to Joe's office. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think going to the select committee would
Yeah.
be more valuable at this point.
Yeah.
I'm learning after
Yeah. Oh my God, and if you just read the Chronicle article about what the town did to the building, the renovation of Brooks Academy. A travesty. I mean, I don't know how stuff like that happens, but it happens.
What was
And-
it, they told them that we would give them money and then they
Oh,
backed out at the
And it's
last
like
minute?
nobody knows, it's like everybody.
They need some kind of an elevator in it, and they're gonna think I'm just using one floor because they don't have the money for the elevator, and they didn't plan for the.
Like, way back, when it was first decided they were gonna renovate it, nobody had a plan. They just, it was the most discombobulated.
That's the most basic thing that you need for anything you
No
do in
plan.
life is a plan, whether
Yeah.
it's a vacation, whether it's
Yeah.
buying a car, whether
Yeah.
it's remodeling a building.
Right.
You need to figure
But
it
anyway,
all
so
out.
the point for us is that the town is bogged down right now, and so many other, people keep quitting. You
They have a
know,
big personnel business problem.
Big problem with personnel, and so I'm not using that as an excuse, I'm just saying this is the climate that we're working in,
No,
you
you're
know?
right, you're 100%.
Which is why I have much more faith in a citizen's uprising, you know, a citizen's petition, a group of citizens getting together and demanding something than a
Yeah.
bureaucratic
The
thing.
fact that Joe wrote to Deborah shows a lot.
Well, I mean, it shows that he's paying attention, but,
Yeah.
and that he is responding to a citizen. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
EV chargers are pretty much where they always are, but still on the table. Cape Light Compact updates, nothing really new there. I just want to remind people that we are in the July to January half of the year. You know, we renegotiate our rates for 6 months, every 6 months, and we are in the July 2024 to January 2025, and our base rate is 13.098, and Eversource is 15.772. So we're a lot lower.
what was it before? Before it went to 13? That dropped, right? The 13
Yes,
is
we always-
lower than what we had from
It
January to
will
July.
always be that way.
It will always be
Yeah.
that way.
It was around 21
So
cents.
from December 23 to July 24, it was 15.5.
Okay, so then it dropped to 30, so it dropped
Yeah.
almost 2 cents.
Right, and,
That's pretty
but
good.
Eversource, from December to July, was 17.2. So
And they
they
went-
did drop 2
So they went down to
cents.
15 also, so they
Right.
also dropped 2 cents.
Right, but we're lower to begin
I'd
with.
love to know how Cape Light Compact, which is 100% renewable, is offering it for less than the standard rate, which includes nuclear and all the other.
It's because we're
big
working with NextEra, which is a huge company that bought into renewable energy a long time ago.
ones. Okay,
And they're all over the country, and the renewable energy that you get for that 13.09 is not local.
okay.
It encompasses everything that's out there. Cape Light Compact does provide a local green option
Oh,
where it supports just New England local, and
No.
it's gonna be expensive.
I was gonna say, that's
Yeah.
gotta be at least 20 cents or more.
It's gonna be.
It used to be
expensive.
called Florida Power and Light NextEra Energy.
Yeah.
I bought some of their stock about 20 years ago, and it's going up about 500%.
Yeah.
And it's the one stock, even though Vanguard manages my funds now, I keep that stock because it keeps going like this all the time.
Yeah, they have, we are not married to them, and Cape Light Compact will get the best deal they can, and when it comes time to renegotiate, NextEra is always in with other bidders.
So how many, Cape Light Compact, I mean roughly, how many people are Cape Light Compact? Is it 100 people? Less than that?
You mean employees of?
Yeah,
I think their staff is maybe 20.
okay. And how many people on that 20-person staff works that one responsibility of working with Nextera to get that contract? Because
There's-
that's a lot of work. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
that isn't just
yeah.
a
No.
phone call, hey, Nextera, give me
No.
the quote for the next 6
No,
months.
no, there's like 3 or 4 people who's, this is what they do.
So they're like
Yeah.
energy buyers.
Exactly. They go to all the meetings, they talk to all the companies,
Okay. And are
there's a team that works on this.
Are those
you know.
engineers or are those accounting people or a mixture?
It's a mixture, a mixture of, they're all specialists in this particular little niche, of,
And have we had the
Yeah.
same people for a number of years? Or?
oh yeah, it's a pretty stable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty stable.
So they know what they're doing
They
and
know
they
what
know
they're doing.
who they're calling at the other end.
Exactly.
You remember a number of years ago when they had a big problem out of California where they were selling them this electric power and then the company went broke? You don't remember any of that stuff?
I
No.
can't say I do.
Yeah.
but-
It was about 20 or 30 years ago.
Well, so far, Nextera doesn't look like it's going broke, so. And again, we're not married to them. Obviously, if a better deal came down the road, Cable Lake Compact is obligated to keep their customers.
So do you think that these 4 or 5 people actually go out to bid? There's a bidding process of Nextera and company X and Y
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Z are also
Yep.
bidding too?
Yep, it has to. I mean, Cable Lake Compact is a municipal aggregator, and so we are under the Department of Utilities, with DPU.
To follow all the procedures?
So we have to,
So when you
There's
put
a
together
lot.
a request for proposal, you've got to follow all these rules.
there's pages of rules,
Yep. Yep.
that they have to follow. It's not, so they are not like out there doing this on their own. I mean, it's very regulated, very regulated. And there's a lot of other municipal aggregators out there, and the department, DPU, Department of Public Utilities, oversees all aggregators, in Massachusetts. So anyway, so I just wanted to remind people that it's pretty good right now
No, that's a good price.
for those
For
people.
renewable, that's very
Yeah.
good.
And then this is just a little graph. This is all from the website. There's a little graph that the blue line is basic service, and the green line is Cape Light Compact, and it starts from December of 2018 and goes up to June of 2024, and you can see that we're pretty close most of the time. We had that big spike there a couple of years ago, but we've been consistently, the last couple of years, we've been consistently below Eversource. There's been for a couple of years, we were sort of jockeying back and forth, a few cents here and there. Sometimes we're dead on, we're the same, but we've pretty much since we've had Nextera, we've been able to.
No, Eversource has been getting kicked in the shorts back in Connecticut also
Yeah.
for their rates, so.
And the other thing that, just to, if somebody asks you, Cape Light Compact can do, for income eligible people, there's a lot of programs out there, and a lot of times people say, well, what's income eligible, what? And so on the website, the Cape Light Compact website, this is a little chart that they have that tells you, and these are state mandated numbers. So if your income of, if you're one person making $45,000 or less, you get a ton of stuff for free. And then it goes up by how many people in your family. And then this is one tier, and then if you make a little bit more money, you can still qualify because Cape Cod is considered, a hard place to live, expensive place to live, and so they allow you to make more than just the minimum and still qualify for.
Where's Duke's County? Is that Martha's
That's
Vineyard?
Duke's is, yes. So, anyway, there's a lot out there that's available. Cape Light Compact had a program that was recently approved by DPU where it was aimed at pretty much low income, that first tier on there, and they were going to come in and they're going to give 100% whole house heat pumps, weatherization, insulation, solar panels, backup batteries. There's a ton of stuff for nothing. And not surprisingly, that program filled up very quickly. So, and they had to start with, like, I think 75 houses. It was a relatively small number that they were mandated to start with, as a proof of concept type of thing. So, anyway, Cape Light Compact is still out there, negotiating all this stuff. CVAC, anything happening on that front?
CVEC, we have our annual meeting on Thursday.
Oh, good.
I don't know if I can make it, but if I don't make it, I'll just make sure that
Just get the
Maria
minutes, yeah.
sends me the minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have a discussion on it today, but I want the committee to think about, we've talked about that piece of land by the
Yep.
transfer station. And I want to talk about whether or not it's actually something that we should champion. And once again, after this
Okay.
individual came in, how we go about championing it, if it's going to be through a meeting or a presentation to the select board. But the things that I would like to put together, if we decide to go ahead and do this, like I said, I don't want an answer today, but, what are the monies that we're currently getting from the installation at the transfer station? How is that being used in town? How much money has that saved the town? If we're to go about putting in a community solar facility, how is that different than what's at the transfer station? How much money could this save the town if we put this in? How much money does it cost now versus back years ago when we did the transfer station? Like I said, what's the difference between the two? And once again, it's going to boil down to whether or not, we can afford to do something like that. And then the other thing I'd put in there that'd have to be on that submittal would be, as part of being a green community, that land was set aside. Specifics on that,
Yeah.
on commitments that were made, how are we going about meeting our commitments as a green community, and just put together a 2 or 3 page, paper with a recommendation from this committee. So I'm not saying that we should do this. I'm saying we should think about doing it and do it through a submittal instead of Joe Powers. We'll go to the Board of Selectmen, but it's going to have in it, stuff that I get from Maria on what the costs, predicted costs would be, and whether or not it would save the town money or cost the town money. Because if it's going to cost the town money, then I don't want to.
Who's Maria?
She's the head of CVEC.
Oh, okay.
And I think my vision for that spot would be something called community solar, which means it would cost nothing. What was supposed to happen with community solar, and the economics of it has changed.
Yeah.
But back in the day, companies could make money by developing a solar farm.
Yep.
And then the people could get the electricity pretty much for free, and the company would recoup their money through renewable energy credits
Yep.
and tax credits and, that type of thing. I'm not sure that works anymore.
That's what I'm saying, is I'd have to pull that
yeah.
together. If we decided as a group that we want to champion it, then I will start working on getting all of that and putting together a position paper.
So I think that
has info
what we
on it.
need to find out is how many acres is it? How much of it needs to be cleared? What kind of it needs to be cleared? And Marie might be able to give you a ballpark idea of if I was a developer, what is my sweet spot as far as number of kilowatts or megawatts that I produce, that I can recoup my investment? And so how much acreage do you really need to do that?
Or can we partner with another town that's got X number of
Right,
acres?
so if we have 50 acres and they have 50 acres, that's 100 acres that could be developed, and so anyway, so those are the kinds of things that let's put our thinking caps on
And I'll be glad to write the position paper if we decide we're going to do it.
Yeah, but again, get a couple of things that I think only maybe Marie would know is in today's climate, what are these developers looking for? What's the minimum amount of megawatts they have to be able to produce in order to recoup, and what kind of acreage does that take? Ballpark. So that, because it may not even be feasible in the climate they're in right now.
Yeah, I want to say the answer is no, but I'm not positive.
Yeah,
about that.
who knows, you know, interest rates are coming down.
But if it's going to produce money,
But it
That
wouldn't
will
produce
interest.
money for the town. I think the town is close to maxed out on renewable energy. The
Because
state
of
of
the-
Massachusetts does not allow a town to become an energy exporter. So, what, because it's illegal, because you have to have, if you make electricity to sell, you fall under you're a utility, and you are regulated.
so what?
But you have to be, no
The-
town except for Hull and maybe one other is their own municipal.
You know, what happened was
Yeah.
back in the 90s, they deregulated the utility business. So when they deregulated, they put all these things in place. And that's one of them, is the fact that, yes, you can be your own little utility, but to do that, you have to meet A, B, C, and D. We don't want to get into the business of being, I mean, there's towns out there, you know, I grew up in Westfield. Westfield has a municipal electric company, and they do the same thing that Cape Light Compact does.
Yep.
They go out there and they buy their power. They're not a utility, they don't have any generation, they buy their power.
But
in
Hull,
this-
I think, makes their own, Hull here up by Boston, they actually make their own electricity and sell it to their
And
residents.
back where I live, Holyoke
Yeah.
Water Power does the same,
Okay,
because
yeah.
they got a couple big dams on the
Dams,
Connecticut
yeah,
River
yeah.
that makes electricity, and, you know, they make money from that. So, but they are a municipal electric company.
Right, and they have to follow all the rules and regs that a utility would have to follow, right?
I believe that's the
Yeah,
case.
yeah. So, we can't do it. So, once the town makes X number of megawatts, you know, let's suppose, just for simplicity, let's suppose we need 10 megawatts and we make 10 megawatts. It's a perfect match, right? We're done. That's as much as we can do for the town. Now, the
None?
the little area that we're talking about would be something that we would want to do as a community solar, which would mean a company, some developer would come in. We would not pay for it. The town would not pay for it. All the town would do is lease the land to the developer. Now, the town might make a little bit of money on the lease, but, you know, you wouldn't want that lease to be stupid. You know, you want it to be a reasonable lease.
Yeah.
And then the developer would build the solar farm, and then the electricity would be sold, in theory, to residents, not the town, not for municipal buildings, but for town, residents could sign up to get some of that electricity,
I see.
to offset. But let's suppose you live in you can't have a solar panel. If you had available to you a community solar project, you could sign up to be an off-taker.
They are supposed to build this 200 or 300 homes on that Queen Anne Road right at the end of it there with, it's either poor people or some kind of low-income people, I think it is. And that would be just down the road from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's all, I have not been able to figure out who's in charge of that and when they meet. I know Larry Ballantyne's in charge of it.
By the way,
But
weren't
there
we
are no
supposed to
minutes.
meet with some committee to find out whether they were using energy efficient features on
Well,
that?
they, according to the bid that went out, in the bid, they said that they had to be energy efficient, but it was not clear, and maybe it was too early in the process to delineate that, but it was not clear like what they were looking for.
Maybe that's the perfect opportunity for it. It's right down the road in Queen Anne.
Yeah, but all of those things could happen, right? And so
trying to make
those
it-
are the kind of things that, because if Murray tells you that the property's too small, then let's not even waste our time with it.
Who should I reach out to get information about that piece of property? It's not Joe Powers,
No,
or what department? what kind of-
you should be able to find it on one of the assessor maps.
She sent it to me with all the parcels that the town owns, but it isn't really laid out on a map or anything. But I'll go
See
back
if-
and look at it, because
see
it
if
was,
you
it was
can-
an Excel spreadsheet is what it was.
Because
So-
when we first became a green community, and I didn't bring my big bag with me,
No,
so I
don't worry
don't have
about
it.
It was part of the
It
presentation.
was part, yeah, they had like a whole PowerPoint and everything that had the little parcel there. And I'm sure that if you look at our green communities stuff, it might be in there.
Where would that be, on the website, the town website?
It might be. Or you can get it, from the office. But anyway, so that's the kind of thing that we probably should do first, because if Marie, and if things are looking like it's not gonna happen.
Is it Marie or Maria?
Maria?
Maria.
Maria. So, but that would be, I think that maybe, like you said, it might mean teaming up with somebody else, to get the amount of acreage that it would require, to do that, but who knows? Does
Okay.
anybody know, like, the name of the committee that is in charge of this new public housing project that's going on in here? What committee is in charge of that?
Housing, HAC, affordable housing, something.
I don't know.
The one that headed by Valentine?
Yes.
Yeah, it's HAC or HCA.
That's a different organization.
You mean with that development I was talking about? The
Yes,
one right at the end of Queen Anne?
Yeah, the one there, what do they call it?
This is gonna go up by the Marceline.
Right, Marceline, that's the word I was looking for, Marceline.
Up by Cape Cod Tech, right across the street from there.
I thought this was at the intersection of, the end of Queen Anne, that's where I thought it was gonna be, in Main Street. So they keep saying in the Chronicle.
Okay. Okay, that's one of them. So that's the Pine Oaks people, the people that build all these.
Ah, yeah.
They want to build 264 units off of Queen Anne.
And that's where the lot is, on Queen Anne.
Yep. That's,
So, you say Queen Anne, is this west of the transfer station?
it doesn't really say.
Yes, it is. It's right at the end of Queen Anne's, as I understand it.
So as you keep heading
You come
west
down
past
that,
the
you come
transfer.
down that hill, and this Main Street is coming in, you gotta look back like this to see if it's a stop sign at the bottom of that hill. I think it's right across the street from it. There's a low area there,
Okay.
and that's where I think it's gonna be. Because that's the intersection of two streets they're talking about. So as far west on Queen Anne as you can go, okay? At the end of that.
Yeah, so it's the people who do Pine Oaks Village are the ones doing that one. Anyway, I guess we should try to figure out the Harwich Housing Authority. But there's another one, the one that's gonna be the Marceline project.
And they talk about bedrooms instead of talking, or beds, instead of talking rooms. 2 rooms, 3 rooms per house. It's so confusing. Why do they choose those terms that are so atypical?
Oh, they're typical for builders. All houses are
You
talked
talk about beds?
Yep.
Or
Beds as opposed to bedrooms?
Right, I mean, when I buy a house, I look for bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3
Because
bedrooms.
when you look at building codes, the only thing I know about the building code is that the number of bedrooms will dictate the size of your septic system.
Right.
Right.
So whether or not it's 3 or 4 bedrooms, that will make a difference in what size tank and,
Yeah, they don't
Going
talk
out,
about
put in.
beds and the septic,
I mean, there are issues, because I remember back home that there was I don't know if it was a Korean family, they had like 12 people in the house that, and it was raising an issue with something due to the town zoning, you know, because of the number of people. So, I mean, I've never heard of, number of beds allowed in
Well,
a
that's what
house,
they
but
talk-
that's,
they are
that's
Muslim.
interesting. I don't know what drives that.
Yeah, we had, I think it's the Harwich Affordable Housing Trust is what.
That's it.
Valentine is on,
Right,
yeah,
HAC.
yeah. All right. So, they had a meeting on July 9th. Apparently you can get it on YouTube, so. I'll look at that later. So, I'm gonna try to figure out when they meet, like when do they have their meetings, and try to go to one of these meetings and just, as a public person, you know, citizens.
Yeah, I have been interested in doing the same thing,
And,
but I cannot put my hands on information.
right, and find out, you know, when they're meeting. So anyway, because these housing projects might benefit from a solar
Community
farm,
solar.
you know, like you said, we might be able to put, if these big housing projects are going up, maybe,
You're assuming that they're not going to have solar panels.
I'm assuming, just like the high school, that there will be probably what they call solar ready, I mean, that they will somehow be able to have panels. I'm not sure that it's going to be.
That's going to be up to the administrator who's going to be
Well,
hired for 100 years.
Well, no, it won't be,
It's another idea that I
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Well, they've
the
got
bids
a,
already went out, and they've already picked somebody. They picked the
Right.
Pine Oaks people. The building company that does Pine Oaks is, I think, going to do that project as well. But anyway, we need to find out all this stuff.
they've got to lay out the streets so that they have the right orientation from north-south, and they've got to have cut down enough trees so they get the solar, if they want to put solar panels on the back of the
Right,
roofs
right.
and stuff
What
like that.
what was the name of the committee?
The
Affordable?
Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, and Larry Ballantyne is their chair.
Affordable Housing Trust. You said Larry Valentine?
Ballantyne, and he used to be a select
B as in boy.
bee, like the beer.
My uncles drank it. I don't know if it's still out there, but I remember the
It's old
cans. I was a beer can collector, I remember them.
All right, so we'll look into all of that. We'll look into community solar, standalone community solar. We'll also see if we can look into some of this housing that's going up in Harwich and how we can integrate renewable energy into that.
Did this Harwich Affordable Housing Trust, is that a side shoot of the town?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a town committee.
I think so too.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I have not been able to. I sent Larry Ballantyne an email through his town email, and I never heard back from him. So, all right. So moving on. Discuss how to address our absentee Board of Selectmen liaison. Does it bother you that he's not here?
It bothers me
Okay.
because I think what we were discussing with Deborah and what we're experiencing with Joe Powers is because we have no contact with the rest of the town. We work in isolation, zero support. We have an advisory role, but if we don't connect with the town, there's no advisory role. There's not. So a select person in Yarmouth said that they use, like in this case, Joe Powers used Danielle to become the municipal coordinator, to have support staff attend our meetings, and
So who is this Danielle person, do you think?
she works with Powers.
I think she's like his office administrator.
Yeah, I have dealt with her with all kinds of questions.
Yeah, but
She's
she's
very
new
efficient.
because they've changed that position like 3 times in the
Oh,
last couple of
yes,
years. So
and
she's on-
Natasha is also new, and Natasha is phenomenally interested in helping, and those are the kinds of people we want, you know. We don't want a big guy who...
But again, those are subordinates
Yeah.
and they have no authority.
Yeah, but I think there is an element of ego here, that Don Howell might be motivated to be
No.
more aware because
Privately, Dawn supports us. He does agree that we.
yes, maybe the
Yeah.
fact that it doesn't
Yeah.
come is due to lack of time.
Well, he's got other issues.
He's got serious health issues.
I mean, could he,
Well, all those issues justify to have an intermediary
could,
who
could,
plays the role of attending and reporting and.
in this day and age, people are working from home. Could he at least call in?
Yeah, I mean, I call in when I'm not here. He
Yeah.
could certainly call in if he was really interested,
Yeah, yeah.
whether
I
he's
know
got a
you're
health
seeing
issue
it.
or not, and participate with a phone call.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because, when she was here earlier, it would have been great to have him
Right.
hear all that.
Yeah.
And
I do, I send him the agendas he's
Yeah,
always on the list.
yeah.
Is he on the list when you send out the minutes? So he's on the list for that, so,
He's on the list for all the drafted minutes
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I never got a comment back from him
Yeah.
on anything.
I think we need to find a way to do something.
he's, if you look at any of the recordings of like Board of Selectmen meetings, like when this whole debacle with the Brooks Academy was happening, I have to say, Dawn was the only one that
Said something.
said something and said,
Yeah.
this is unacceptable,
Yeah, yeah.
how did this happen?
Yeah.
And he was the only one that said, the buck stops with us.
Right.
The Board of Selectmen can't let something like this get away from us. And this is not an excuse, this is the reality that we live in. Town management, even a little town like Harwich, is very complex these days. We're being asked to do a lot between sewer, and affordable housing, and energy, and climate resilience, and blah, 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 blah.
Well,
And we have a part-time Board of Selectmen. So in Barnstable, they don't have town meeting. They have, what do they call them there? They got rid of town meeting a long time ago. And they have like a mayor, they don't call him a mayor. Every village elects somebody to go to this council, and the council decides everything. It's not, they don't go to town meeting anymore. And that's why they can get so much done, because,
So the head of each committee/department
yeah.
would go to this meeting?
No, these are, it'd be like if you elected, it'd be like if our Board of Selectmen actually were full-time people.
Oh, okay.
And they made all the decisions. They didn't have to go to town meeting. We vote,
Yeah,
you
I got you.
in a big city, they would call them, you have your mayor, and then you have your the,
Yeah,
I lived
but-
in upstate New York for many, many years.
Yeah.
They don't have any kind of a government like this. They have mayors and they have town councilmen.
Town
and-
council. So
and
that's what
they-
Barnstable
They
has
made
now.
all, they never had people going to do meetings like this and voting on all these issues
Right,
like
right.
that. They never got involved.
right.
Just set the
The way the citizens got involved is
That's the way every other
who-
state in the
who
union
you-
is besides
who
Massachusetts.
you vote in as your town council
This all
representative.
comes back from the colonies, when the colonies were here.
You're exactly right, that's where it came from. And so anyway.
They haven't changed it in 300 years.
Darn it, and we're not gonna, so the point being is that we're asking like 6 part-time people to manage, what's our budget now, like $10 million? I mean, it's a lot of money that the town manages. And so you think about these 6, and then you look at our staff, our paid staff, they don't stay, a lot of turnover.
I suspect it's Power's personality.
But anyway,
Because
so-
that office is,
I will talk to Don. I will ask him if it's possible for him to come to a meeting.
And
Well,
ask him-
ask him if he can call in to the meetings.
or how
So
would
if he can't
feel-
get here, you know what I mean? Just say, you don't have to come, just participate and listen to the meetings or something like that.
Yeah. Well, he might be listening to them. I mean, maybe he listens to the recording. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, we
Not in
would
real
hear from
time,
him.
yeah.
We would hear, no, but I would ask him, how would he feel to have an administrative person attending our meetings? And he could have a conversation with that person afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Joe's
That's
going to
it.
let any of those people come to these meetings. I don't see that in the future.
Well, but
Yeah, when you see him, what I would do is I'd reach out to him personally, and then if he doesn't respond, then we put something in the minutes that the committee recommends that the select person representative attends minutes because it would greatly benefit the productivity of the committee.
So I'll talk to him.
And bring, mention our responsibilities that we cannot do our job because there's a reason why there is a liaison person.
We've already talked about hiring a part-time energy coordinator.
Yeah.
And I think that if Deborah can get other people to jump on board, we might be able to get enough interest in the town that the Board of Selectmen would be responsible, would respond to it, and want to do it. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Climate action plan. So all the towns are coming up with these things.
what is this all about?
A year or two ago, all the towns voted that, including Harwich, that climate change was an emergency.
Are you talking about the networks, like Harwich Climate Action Network?
No. This
This is one of the articles I sent you, what Orleans is doing with this.
Yeah, this is different.
You got
This
this
is an
here.
actual town document. This would not be a separate committee. This would be something that the town would make and implement, not a separate
To
committee.
address
Climate change, resilience.
emergency.
They have a $100,000 budget for this right here,
Right.
Orleans, okay?
Right.
Let's say for the sake of argument, where Valerie works, she works for the National Park Service, and if you go down to Marconi Beach, they just lost a huge chunk of the beach and their stairs are falling into the ocean.
The ones that we opened this spring.
I know.
Yeah.
Look, my wife and I talked about, what are they gonna do next year? But anyways, you'd look at that and you would say, okay, that's the kind of issue we might have in the town. So what do we have in our town? Well, we got Red River Beach. So you would put in, if we thought that Red River Beach was underneath, critically was gonna
Wash away.
wash away.
I was down there when the high tide the other day, and the beach was about 10 feet from the parking lot down there. I was
Yeah.
down there looking
Well,
at
that's
it.
pretty big. Yeah, that's close.
And so someday we're gonna go down there, and you're not gonna be able to get to Red River Beach. And if people don't see that,
I was using that as an example, that
Right,
if you were to come up with a climate action plan, it would list items on that we feel are the priorities for the town of Harwich, if you were to come up with that plan.
Right. And a climate action plan would be something that would be hammered out, and not just by the four of us. It would require probably a larger committee to sit down and work on this, and there'd be a document that would have to be voted on by town meeting.
but you need funds to do this stuff.
But we would have to have an idea to present to the town, and, that's a good example. We can look at other towns. Falmouth did this a while ago. Orleans has been very proactive. Orleans had a very impressive plan for Nauset Beach in Orleans. Years ago, they knew that Nauset was gonna disappear, and when Liam's washed away, they got on board and they said, we have to plan to retreat. And they built a brand new, harbor master and, municipal building up on the hill in anticipation of having to close down what was at the beach because they knew it was going to wash away. And instead of waiting for it to wash away and then saying, now what do we do? They actually had a proactive plan where they built the building in anticipation of it getting washed away. And, so it was very forward thinking, I think, and an example of looking at Red River Beach. It's not washed away yet.
And what about the green aspect? Planting eelgrass, planting. I saw a program in Denmark where they addressed the flooding that they have been having, and they call it the gray, like we just said, buildings, and the green, planting, whatever, to stop.
Right. The problem with Red River Beach, as an example, is that that should never be there. That's an artificial berm that they put the parking lot on. That should be a marsh. And the ocean wants it back.
Of course.
And the ocean wants it back.
The beach is gonna end up on the other side of that marsh, right in front of those
Right.
houses that are on
It
that
has
hill.
to become a marsh.
Right, so
And that one house, that was a great big house that happens to be the daughter of a guy that lives on my street, and she's a doctor too. That should never been allowed to be built there.
there was a house there previously, so it was grandfathered in.
But it shouldn't have been, that's what called not planning, that's exactly not planning.
That's something that would be in a climate action plan, because in a climate action plan, you can talk about zoning, and you can create no-build zones, you know, where that, you say, no more.
Marsh.
Once your house is gone, this is a no-build zone, and so you would have to build someplace else. But all of those kinds of things get addressed in a climate action plan, and then it gets voted on by the town. So,
I read an article someplace that said that if all of the ice in the glaciers and both the poles melt, that the water level could rise hundreds of feet, 200.
we won't be here when that happens, but.
I know, but they say within 10 years Miami won't be habitable, most of it, because it's down so low. And they're doing things down in Miami to
Yeah,
take care
they're
of that.
raising roads, you know,
Raising buildings,
they have a
raising
climate
everything.
action plan, but none of it is, I think the sort of one of the case studies that I think is the most illustrative of how stupid we are is Hurricane Sandy. That was devastating. It wiped out so many homes in New Jersey. What they should have done is move those people. They should have said, you can't build
Absolutely.
here anymore, because it's not about if it happens again, it's just about when it happens again.
Absolutely.
But they didn't, you know, they gave these people bazillions of dollars to rebuild exactly where they were before. And I'm sure it's a beautiful neighborhood, they're close to the ocean, I'm sure it's lovely. Cape Cod has very similar situation, you know, we're too close to the water.
Have you ever been down in North Carolina on the coastal highway where Rodanthe is? Rodanthe, they built a $24 million superhighway curving in over the water. And every time there's a storm, just last week when there was a storm down there, they show 2 or 3 or more houses washing away again.
Yeah.
On the other side of that superhighway that's built elevated over the water, which is really stupid.
So
can
are you
say
guys,
that.
are you guys taking bets down at the visitor center when that house that's between the road between Coast Guard Beach and Nauset Lake Beach, are you taking bets on when that house is gonna go?
The guy paid $365,000 for?
Yeah, there's 10 feet left
Yeah.
before you
Yeah.
get to the
Well,
back of the
the
house.
winter will determine, you know, this winter will determine it.
Well, I was shocked that usually it's a winter storm, and then what
Yeah.
happened, you know, at Marconi Beach, I'm going, wow. Because we were out there,
Yeah.
and we saw some like 10, 12-foot waves, and it was probably the roughest I've ever seen it.
And a couple of weeks, the last rainy period, I understand September was very dry, but before that, I was down there during a little summer storm. And I went to Coast Guard Beach, and literally there was no beach. Like, we went down the little blue mat,
Yep.
and the waves were breaking on the blue mat.
The TV reported that West Chatham had 11 inches of rain with this last rainstorm. Now that has got to be like 1,000-year. I've never heard of a place having 11 inches of rain.
Not New England, I mean, other places.
And not any place that I've lived before. And we're in East Harwich. We're 1 mile from West, so we must have had 11 inches of rain.
I
And you
had
can't
8
just
inches.
you can't just
I was
you
gonna say,
can't
the
just
same article showed
you-
Harwich being
Yeah.
7.5
Yeah.
inches. And I know I got that because I keep out a rain gauge.
I did, my rain gauge was overflowing.
You can't see that kind of stuff and they say we don't have any climate change or anything like this because
Right.
it's happening every day. It's right in front of your eyes. And
And here's the sad thing, there are very few people left who don't believe in climate change, because you can see it all around you. But what they don't want is their lives to be inconvenienced in any way to address it. So if you're talking about people living on the beach, they're gonna live, they don't want anybody to tell them that they can't live there, right? If you're talking about, you know, switching over to heat pumps or EVs or, you know, that type of thing, people don't want to be told that they have to do this. you know, and so.
People like their freedoms, they don't want to be told.
Exactly, and so, you know,
They don't want to what?
they want
They
to be
like
told.
freedoms in the United States, their freedoms are more important than doing the right thing sometimes.
Absolutely,
But-
absolutely.
But that's against freedom. That's getting in trouble because you don't want to accept reality.
Yeah,
That's being an ostrich with your head in the sand.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll come back to this. I'm gonna try to find some copies of other towns that have already done this, their climate action plans, so maybe next time we can take a look at some of them.
The only question I have is,
Yeah.
because I don't know the answer to this, what's the difference between this and what the Climate Action Network does?
Yeah.
This would be an actual town document.
Oh, yeah.
Th-
No, I understand
Yeah,
what
this
this would
thing
be,
here means-
but when they have their meeting, what's their charge versus what our charge?
They're a private
Yeah.
committee.
Oh, they're not a
They need
town.
money,
No,
they
they're
need
not
money,
a
that's what the whole
Okay,
thing is.
Yeah.
just learned something new.
You
Yeah.
can't do anything without that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
you're right.
They have the name Harwich in it because they live in Harwich, but
Gotcha.
they're nothing to do with the municipal.
They don't have any money.
Yeah,
See,
that's-
this article here
that's
for
different.
Orleans says they need $100,000 to do this plan, okay? That's a starting point. That's the way you start these
And you're,
plans.
and if you talk about, like, so here we are, we have our wonderful, you know, we need money for EV charges, we need money for an energy coordinator, we need money for our climate action plan. But you know what? They're already committed to millions and millions of dollars for the sewer. So we gotta also keep in mind, where is this money coming from? I mean, you know, so do we raise taxes to accommodate this? You know, you can argue it, you know, that climate is, if climate is an emergency, as they voted on, you know, the town voted that. So if it is an emergency, does it, because it's an emergency,
Yeah, but-
is this,
The elevator here
yeah,
at
Yeah.
Brooks,
yeah?
I mean, one floor would be enough. To take disabled people to the second floor at the cost of $1 million, I find it stupid.
The problem with that is that they were told that it was going to be included at the beginning, and that everything was taken care of. And then as the project unfolded, it turned out that, no, they didn't really have the money. And
Well,
so
that's
they
the
were,
size.
they were, it was
Sloppy.
mismanaged.
That's where lawyers get brought in, because if you did that in private industry and you had a
Yeah.
contract,
Yeah,
the lawyers would be sitting in a room saying, hey, you signed something, so
right.
you promised this, and guess what? We're gonna hold you to it. If you don't, it's gonna cost you money.
So, but and you don't want to pit one project against another, you know. So you don't want to like tell the people, the Harwich Historical Society, that they don't matter as much. You know, we want, you know, that we don't care if you don't get your money. We want our money. You know, you have to be diplomatic about all of this, and you gotta be realistic. You know, and as I've always said, you know, the wheels of bureaucracy turn exceedingly slow, and but I'm not giving up, and I think that we just keep plugging away. And, you know, Deborah felt sorry for us, but I think the fact that we exist and the town keeps reappointing us, I mean, if the town thought we
Nobody
were-
else wants it.
But
And the
if
town
the
could
town,
kill us.
if the
We
town,
can be here until we turn blue.
but if the town thought that an energy committee was not needed, they would disband it. You know, why would they bother even appointing us?
Or if we irritate them too much, they'll disband it.
Well, that's true. So anyway, we'll work on that. Check your calendars and see if October 22nd works for you. What day of the week is that? I forget. I'm done work by then. So yay.
At 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Is that a
October-
Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday, October 22nd. That's Tuesday. So let us know if that's a go, then we can reserve the room and go for it.
Okay.
So it's adjourned at 4:50? Or 4:30, I assume?
4:29.